Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Well, I have a new project I'm working on and I thought I'd bring you along because I found a few things out that are going to help me to do it. You know, I've started with the dehydrating and I did the mushrooms and they came out great, and in the past I've done banana chips, which if you've never had those or tried them, they are fabulous. It's like eating candy. You can actually eat too many, I think. That's how, once you dehydrate them and see how little you get and realize you're eating 5 or 6 bananas in a day. I also do my herbs on here, and I love the oregano fresh out of the garden in the morning when you go pick it, and it just makes the house smell so wonderful. So, but I really haven't used my dehydrator as much as I know I could have. So I don't have those little mats that you can buy to use on here because the holes are a little bit on the bigger side. So I've been hesitant, even like with my herbs, kind of they'll fall through to the bottom, which is okay because I can pick them up off of there. But I saw on Wilhelms Kitchen, Tina did, was she doing onions? She may have been doing onions, or maybe it was peppers. And she did not have all of the other trays that they'll sell to go in here. They're expensive to buy them, you know. So I figured I'd try what she did. She just used parchment paper, which I thought was a really good idea because you can use parchment paper more than once. And I did have some at home. I didn't have to go out and buy any. And what she did was she cut out a circle to fit to size. So we're going to try to do that also. Hopefully I can get it to work. So we're just going to measure that out. See, that's enough to cover it all the way around. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out. Okay? I'll probably just speed through that though because it's going to be clumsy, I can tell right now. Okay, so there we go. We have our template. Now what I'll do is off camera, I'll take care of doing another 3 and then I'll bring you back. Well, that really wasn't that difficult. A little fiddly because I was doing it by myself, but I just used a clothespin to hold all the pages together. Maybe we'll put them in this way. And that way they fit on there very nicely. And I didn't have to add an expense. If I tend to do a lot of dehydrating, maybe I'll consider getting some of those other, I wonder what they're called, so that things don't fall through. So, what I decided, I got some very nice onions at Aldi's last week when I was there to get the mushrooms. So I thought, you know what, I want to try to do my own granulated onion and onion powder. So, since the weather still isn't nice enough to be outside in the garden, I thought I'd give it a try and bring you along. So I'm going to go get my food processor because we're going to do all the chopping in that. I'm just going to cut off the skins, and then I'm going to chop them up in the food processor, and I'll bring you back just at the end of that, okay? Okay, so I took the skin off of 2 onions, and then I quartered them, and I put them in my food processor. So, let's see. Hopefully that'll be a good amount to put on the sheet. Let's take that out. And when you're using a dehydrator for doing different things, you want to try to just have a single layer of food, whatever it is that you're dehydrating on it. That way it will cook, it'll dry more evenly, and hopefully it won't burn. So let's see how we do here. I want to spread it out, and I got nice size chunks. They're not very large, but they're not really small. I hope you could see this okay. But see, just, you know, random size pieces because I want the onion flakes. So I really think storing things dry is really going to add to my pantry in a good way. And since I'll have these when my onions come in, then I can do my own onions. Because sometimes I find some of the onions, I don't know, it's probably the type of onions I'm planting, that maybe they're not good long storage onions, so they tend to start to sprout. And I'd rather be able to use them like this if I could, before I miss them and they really sprout and get mushy on me. So let me finish doing the onions, and I'll bring you back with the information for how to do onions in the dehydrator. Okay, now I'm sure it looks like I've been crying because the onions finally got to me. So I ended up, oh, and they're still potent. I used the pulse feature with my food processor, and that's how I got the chunks. I didn't get real tiny or real large. They're just mixed up in between. I did 6 onions all together and spread them out over the 4 trays. Now, I wanted to explain a little bit how this dehydrator works. On each round, this part here is opened. I hope you could see in there. See, you could see my finger through there. And then this middle part is open, and it has these little divots in it. Well, there are no divots on the bottom, so this sits right on top of the next one. And what happens is the air will go through these side vents because it comes down from the fan at the top, which sits right on top of this. And having those divots on the side allows the air to disperse across the top and then go down the sides and come back again. It just keeps going around and around and around like that. That's how the dehydrator works. So let's check our book and see what it says about onions. Remove skins, tops, and roots. Slice 3/8 of an inch. Well, we're not doing slices, we're doing bits. So it says that it should take 6 to 12 hours. Does not mention anything about blanching or starting the dehydrator at the lower temperature like it did with the mushrooms. But I think I'm going to do about an hour on 90 degrees first, because these were super wet onions and they're very potent. So, and I think I'm also going to be putting this in the garage because the house smell of like the mushrooms was great. I don't know if it's going to smell great as the onions. So I'm going to put it down in the garage, and I'm going to set the timer, so I'll go down in an hour, and I'll bring it up to, what temperature do they recommend? Okay. 125. So I'm going to start it at the 90 for about an hour, then bring it up to 125, and hopefully in the morning, because it's 5 o'clock in the evening, they'll be ready and I can show you what they look like. And we're going to see how much we get too. Been, I believe it's about 12 hours. I let this go overnight. I did put the onions, I ended up putting them out in the garage. I had them down in the grow room, and after about an hour, the strong, pungent smell of the onions came upstairs, and even the dog didn't want to be downstairs, so I put them out in the garage. So I think these parchment paper trays worked out pretty good. Get you in close here, and you can see, can you hear them? They're nice and dry, and they stayed nice and white. So I also wanted to show you this jar. I had asked some friends if any of them had old canning jars that they weren't using anymore. I'd be happy to take them. I hope you can see the label on this one. This one actually says Presto Supreme Mason Jar Duraglass. I don't know how old it is, but I thought since they seem to be older, they're kind of square in shape, that I would use them for my dried things instead of putting them in the canner. So let's see how many out of the 6 onions that we chopped up. Let's see how many we end up with. Let's see if this is going to work. Well, it worked for half of them. I'll end up picking up the rest off of the... Oh, and you know what? I might have been able to do that with most of them on the trays because they didn't fall through. So we'll have to... Maybe we'll rework that. Let me get to doing this, and I'll bring you back once I have everybody in the jar. Another reason why be sure you have everything clean when you start a project. So that way you could just pick everything up and put it in the jar. There's 2 trays worth of the onions. So I'm going to fill this one up the rest of the way. And, oh, look, there's a big air hole there. Let's see if we could shake it down. I bet you we could get a whole nother tray in here. Can you believe that? Just unbelievable how much dehydrated things can pack down. So let me get the rest, as much in there as I can, and I'll tell you how much we did. Okay, so there's 4 trays. The total is 6 onions cut up and put in a pint jar. So thank you for joining me with this dehydrating. It's been fun. I'm learning an awful lot as I go, and I hope that you've learned something also. And these parchment paper rounds have worked rather well. I've been doing a little research on the little non-stick trays inserts that you can get with the smaller holes, and maybe I'll make those a purchase in the near future to make it a bit easier. But these really helped for a quick learning experience, and they were very easy to make. I had the parchment paper, so it worked out great. If you enjoyed today's video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel. And this year, 2019, join me on my journey of not just gardening and working with composting and worms. Let's learn some more about food preservation. Have a great day.